Good afternoon. You're listening to Ken Hudnall. This is the Ken Hudnall Show. Coming to you from our studios right here in exciting El Paso, Texas. Gateway to the Old West and the most haunted city in the country. Well, today's October 29th, 302nd day of the year. Just 63 days remain to the year's over with. Holidays and observances. National Cat Day. Those furry, playful, independent, lovable pets that never fail to entertain. National Oatmeal Day. RSPB Feed the Birds Day. Inviting the feathered friends with some small outdoor dining. World Stroke Day. National Internet Day. In a world where a click connects you to somebody else, it's a treasure trove of information, cat videos, and endless memes. World Psoriasis Day. International Day of Care and Support. National Hermit Day. Baku Jazz Festival. It's an annual celebration that fills the streets of Azerbaijan's capital with vibrant sounds and rhythms. If you're into jazz, that's the place to go. Pomegranate Festival. Shampoo Week. Global Media and Information Literacy Week. Artes Mundi. Phuket Vegetarian Festival. Truffle Days in Croatia. Red Ribbon Week. Bat Appreciation Week. Famous people born on this date. Tracy Ellis Ross. Winona Ryder. Bob Ross. Gabrielle Union. And Ben Foster. Well, on that note, let's see what stories we have in the news. The cartels are going to collapse, according to experts, by targeting the ships and not the labs. They can make it all they want, but they can't sell it. Well, Jamie Lee Curtis has slammed her positive Charlie Kirk comments after his death, said they were mistranslated. Actress Jamie Lee Curtis said yesterday her comments talking about Charlie Kirk in a positive way were a mistranslation after she got a backlash. She addressed her reaction to the Turning Point USA founder's assassination last month when she cried over the conservative activist's death despite holding different politics. You know, I thought she was a very nice lady until we met her at an event, and I now have a different attitude. The Speaker Johnson and GOP leaders demanded Democrats end the shutdown standoff. We're on day 29 of the Schumer shutdown. That's something that's going to be associated with him for quite some time to Kirk. Well, Mondani's mother has been ripped for using a repulsive slur towards Americans in a resurfaced interview. It was in 2013. She said he's not an American at all. That's his own mother saying that. Gave an interview when he was a 21-year-old American college student discussing how her son's not an American while using terminology that some view as derogatory toward the U.S. He's, according to filmmaker Mira Nair in the Hindustan Times, he's a total desi. She said that in a 2013 interview when her son was 21 years old. At the time, he was attending Bowdoin College, where he co-founded the school's Students for Justice in Palestine chapter and was using an academic sanctions against Israel. He was pushing for academic sanctions against Israel. Well, President Trump reveals Xi Jinping meeting that timeline while discussing Kim Jong-un's relations in South Korea. Offer new details about his upcoming meeting with Chinese president, saying he expected the meeting to last several hours. He made the comments during a diplomatic dinner hosted by South Korean President Lee Jae-myung on Wednesday. He was caught on a hot mic as he sat down for the meal. Says his meeting with Xi on Thursday morning would last 3 or 4 hours. Well, there's a bloody Blue City crime wave that's shattered a college homecoming in one of the year's most violent stretches. The Washington, D.C. saw one of its most violent weekends of the year, with 12 people shot across the city over a span of just 9 hours. Violence in Washington began Friday at about 5:30 when a teenage girl was shot on Southeast Yuma Street. 15 minutes later, a teenage boy was struck by a bullet on 50th Street. 2 hours later, a man was shot on 16th Street in the northwest area of the city. Well, Cuomo's made a prediction for what would happen in New York City if Mamdani wins. He says New York City will not survive Mamdani as mayor. He says Democrats fighting a civil war against the far left. He warned that should Mamdani be elected mayor of New York City, the Big Apple's economy would turn socialist, and detailed how the rise of the far left has sparked a quiet civil war within the Democratic Party, being led on one side by the inimitable AOC. I've never seen a picture of her where her mouth isn't open and she's screaming. Well, the Colorado teenagers won the fight to repaint school colors in the parking spot, in the parking lot. The things that we fight about. Colorado high school student who challenged her school's ban on religious designs for senior parking spaces will now be allowed to repaint her space to reflect her Christian faith. Sophia Shoemaker, senior at the Rampart High School in Colorado Springs Academy School, District 20, wanted permission to decorate her paid parking space with a design illustrating Jesus' parable of the lost sheep. School has a tradition of allowing seniors to reserve and pay for their own parking space and decorate it with school-approved artwork. Her design featured a shepherd, a staff, and sheep, along with a reference to the Bible verse 1 Corinthians 13:4. The school administrators rejected it, citing a district policy prohibiting religious imagery. Said she was forced to choose a different design, which she found deeply disappointing given the importance of her faith. So what did she do? She went to court. Well, couples choosing separate beds may face unseen challenges, according to a new study, the things that we pay for studies for. Sleeping apart may not be the key to happiness in a relationship. Recent trends, such as sleep divorce, have highlighted the benefits of sleeping separately from a partner, sometimes even inhabiting different rooms. Scandinavian sleep method, a cultural design to improve sleep quality in Nordic countries like Sweden and Norway, has popularized the concept of using two separate duvets on one bed. But a new study by researchers in Taiwan suggests that sleeping apart from your significant other may actually decrease psychological well-being. The research surveyed 860 older adult heterosexual couples in northern Taiwan to investigate the link between psychological well-being and sleeping arrangements. Analysis considered both individual and couple characteristics. Psychological well-being was measured by happiness and life satisfaction and fulfillment. Sleep measures were assessed using a detailed statistical method. Well, let's see. The U.S. economy may lose up to $14 billion due to government shutdown standoff, according to the Congressional Budget Office. It's going to have a temporary negative impact on the economy, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. But Schumer's happy. His name is out there. J.D. Vance is going to hold a question and answer at Ole Miss Turning Point USA event. He's set to take questions at the event at the University of Mississippi today in honor of his late friend Charlie Kirk. Well, Trump has raised the volume, but Beijing is setting the beat for the trade wars next round. We'll see how that comes out. Well, Prince Andrew now has questions to answer about the mystery millions he continues to use to fuel his lavish lifestyle as the public demands answers. He's certainly raising eyebrows. Now, the ex-Duke of York stepped back as a senior royal in 2019 after his infamous interview on BBC's Newsnight, in which he attempted to explain his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. October 17th, the 65-year-old announced he was relinquishing his Duke of York title and other honors after renewed scrutiny over his connection with the late sex offender. It seems he makes $26,000 a year on a pension, but he's spending millions. That does raise a lot of questions. Wish I could figure out how to do it. He's affording a $38 million mansion on a $26,000 pension. Well, billionaire Bill Gates is changing his attitude about climate change. It's not going to destroy civilization as we know it, but he's got a lot of other off-the-wall ideas. Well, former Biden spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre's incoherent interview has confused a lot of journalists and commentators. One of them said that she just made it clear that her being called dumb was accurate. Well, CNN Phillips calls out far-left outrage over MAGA guest on her show. Warns not to ignore half the country. Abby Phillips pushed back on critics from the left, arguing they fail to understand how important it is to engage with the MAGA movement that remains a powerful force in American politics. During the discussion with civil rights activist Jesse Jackson, Breakfast Club radio host Charlemagne the God joked with Phillip that she's built something of a rainbow coalition of diverse voices on her show, which she argues serves the public good. We'll see if that continues. Well, Hurricane Melissa has made a second landfall. It's pounding Jamaica still. Well, New Jersey man's Titanic belongings have been recovered, expected to go to auction for more than $100,000. The personal effects of a New Jersey man buried at sea when a Titanic sank April 1912 are expected to sell at auction for more than $100,000. The collections remain in Frederick Sutton's family's hands for more than 100 years. 61-year-old was a first-class passenger on the ship, coming home from England while after traveling on the advice of his physician for an undisclosed illness the month prior. That's according to Henry Aldridge and Sons Auction House. His items up for auction include a first-class passenger list, according to the New York Times. Also in the extremely rare canvas personal effects bag sewn on board C.S. Mackey Bennett are a gold watch with a chain, the clip, pocketbook, knife, 3 silver spoons, a gold seal ring with FS initials, and $13 in loose coins in a purse, and a lot more. Bags of belongings were recovered by his son-in-law in Halifax about 2 weeks after the sinking. Well, the couple thought they had a Texas couple, as a matter of fact. Thought they had come up with a perfect idea for a honeymoon. They went to Jamaica in time for a Category 5 Hurricane Melissa to slam the island, and now they're trapped. They're stranded in Jamaica as Category 5 storm Hurricane Melissa barrels toward the island. Melissa's forecast to become the strongest hurricane in Jamaica's history, sustained winds of 175 miles per hour or more. Officials are warning of the life-threatening flash flooding, landslides, and widespread damage to nearby regions. Folks are urging to take emergency precautions as the storm comes in. Well, Riley Gaines has responded to AOC's personal attacks, calls out the virtue signaling Democrats. She joined Fox and Friends this morning to respond to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's personal attacks against her on social media. Gaines addressed the fact that AOC's ridiculous rhetoric may work on social media, but it doesn't fly in the real world, much like the never-ending virtual signaling from the Democratic Party. AOC thinks she's going to be the next president. If that's the case, I may actually think about going to Australia. Well, private investigators challenged Houston officials on the Bayou serial killer theory after 16 deaths this year. It's too soon to rule out a potential serial killer behind a string of mysterious deaths in Houston's Murky Bayous, according to a local private investigator. According to Coleman Ryan, they're saying that they don't have a serial killer, but he's not sure. He's working with the family of 22-year-old Kenneth Cutting Jr. Maybe their objective in sexual assault, it's not robbery. They're just throwing people in the bayou. Authorities haven't yet success Cutting's phone or location records. But 16 in a year, I've subscribed to the James Bond theory. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, three times is enemy action. 16, you got a serial killer, folks. Well, U.S. attorney fired by Trump joins Newsom's team. Former acting U.S. attorney in Sacramento, Michelle Beckwith, who was recently fired by the Trump administration, has found a new job at California Governor Gavin Newsom's team. Newsom recently hired Beckwith to serve as Deputy Legal Affairs Secretary, put her in a position to provide legal counsel to the governor and state agencies. That's according to the New York Times. Well, Florida set a record with the 15th execution as a man dies for a 1998 rape and murder of a neighbor. That's a record under Governor Ron DeSantis. Put to death Norman Murrow Grimm Jr., convicted of raping and murdering his neighbor more than 20 years ago. Spokesperson for DeSantis confirmed 65-year-old Grimm was pronounced dead at 6:14 p.m. after receiving a 3-drug injection at the Florida State Prison at Stark. The spokesperson, Alex Lanfranconi, noted Grimm was asked if he had a final statement he wanted to make before getting the injection, and he said, "No, sir." So they killed him. Well, the plus-size model was stunned after a flight attendant gave her a 10-minute lecture about her weight. She had gone into the airplane's restroom, and due to her size, accidentally hit the call button for the attendant. And when she came out, he was standing there, and he said, "You know, you got a kid. You need to lose some weight." I think that's going a little beyond what a flight attendant ought to be doing. Archaeologists uncover a 1,600-year-old wine factory hidden near an ancient mountain castle. This is in Turkey. It's believed to date back about 1,600 years. Excavation was reported by Anadolu Agency, state-run outlet in Ankara, October 16th. Production center is found in a mountainous area in southeastern Turkey near the village of Oymakli. Site included installations for processing grapes along with cisterns used to supply water and grinding stones. Building foundations at the site date back to the 4th century, time when Christianity was spreading to Turkey and Constantinople was emerging as a new center of power. Well, a nanny was found with suspected psychedelic mushrooms. She's accused of fatally stabbing a member of a family with a screwdriver. 35 years old, been charged with murder and denied bond after authorities say she fatally stabbed an elderly grandfather multiple times while she was caring for a 3-year-old inside a Michigan home over the weekend. Samantha Ray Booth appeared to have a manic episode when the child's grandfather came by for a welfare check. Officials say Booth not only killed an 83-year-old man, but also fled from responding police, attacked another family member with a screwdriver, stripped naked, and was found with suspected psychedelic mushrooms and marijuana in her purse. She's been charged with first-degree murder, second-degree child abuse, assault, and 3 counts of resisting and assaulting or obstructing police. The child abuse charge stems from the fact that the alleged murder happened in front of a child, according to the judge. Well, the Pentagon has ordered managers to fire civilian workers with speed and conviction. Pulled key protections for its civilian workers, instructed managers to move with speed and conviction to fire underperforming workers, according to a memo issued last month, right before the beginning of the Schumer shutdown. Well, U.S. only has scratched the surface of its oil potential as emerging technology strengthens energy outlook. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth tells Fox Business new drilling techniques could unlock untapped resources. In fact, my family owns some oil-producing land, and if they would use the proper technology, I wouldn't have to do the show anymore. Where a former WWE star, Mike Rotunda, He's gone into hospice care, according to his family. He was famously known in pro wrestling as IRS. Barry Windham, Rotunda's brother-in-law, revealed the former wrestler's declining health in a recent interview with Bill Apter on Saturday. I remember when they were getting started, they were the epitome of power. Not anymore. Well, pro-Trump conservative grandson of Cuban refugees launches a bid for Congress in Wisconsin. Michael Alfonso, the grandson of Cuban refugees who fled communism and helped pay his way through college by working construction and paving roads, on Wednesday launched a GOP bid for Congress for an open seat in a solid Republican House district in northern Wisconsin. He says, it's time we had a representative who will put families, communities, and America first. Well, U.S. figure skating champion Elisa Liu opens up on being targeted by Chinese spying operation and the FBI's protection. She was just 16 years old when she met with an FBI agent at a Japanese restaurant to find out she and her family were being spied on by the Chinese government. It was early 2022. She was just about to compete in figure skating at the Winter Olympics in Beijing. First time she had visited her father's home country, which he fled as a refugee decades before. The Liu family had become targets of the country's spies due to his involvement in the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest. She called that experience a little bit freaky and exciting. Well, a truckload of aggressive research monkeys escaped after the truck crashed in Mississippi. One monkey's still on the loose. He's not thought to be armed or dangerous, but still, a monkey bite is nothing to laugh at. He's large and aggressive. After the wreck, which happened north of Heidelberg, multiple rhesus monkeys escaped into the community. That's according to the Jasper County Sheriff's Office. One is actually running for Congress. Well, 3 members of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base personnel have been found dead in Ohio. They were found across multiple locations near Dayton over the weekend. Officials at the 88th Air Base Wing at Wright-Patterson said the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation and the Air Force Office of Special Investigation are investigating 3 deaths that happened between October 24th and the morning of October 25th. Well, Comer calls for Biden pardons to be pulled and void after a scathing report on the autopen use. Representative James Comer, Republican of Kentucky, insisted Tuesday every pardon signed by former President Joe Biden should be null and void. He told Fox News' Laura Ingraham the process was riddled with inconsistencies and lacked proof of the former president's personal involvement. If you got the autopen, you can pardon Jack the Ripper. Well, a new study just exposed the corruption behind America's homelessness crisis. For years, we've been told that compassion for the homeless meant writing ever larger checks, more money and more programs and far less accountability. And now we have some answers for why homelessness has exploded even amid a tripling of public spending. A groundbreaking investigation called Infiltrated, backed by more than 50 pages of documentation from the Capitol Research Center in cooperation with the Discovery Institute, has pulled back the curtain on a vast system of corruption, shows how billions in taxpayer funds intended to lift people out of homelessness have instead bankrolled radical activism and anti-American political agendas, betraying both the taxpayers that paid for it and the homeless that were meant to help. Well, social media has gone after AOC after her attempt to insult Riley Gaines. Social media users quickly unleashed an avalanche of backlash toward the Democratic representative who believes, for some God knows why reason, she's going to be president in 2028. Well, scammers are targeting retirees as major 401k rule changes loom for a 2026 tax year nationwide. If you're over 50 and maxing out your 401k, there's a big change coming in 2026. It could affect how much tax you pay on your catch-up contributions. And while it's mostly about taxes and retirement planning, there's an unexpected side effect. Every time your financial habits or personal data becomes public, it's a chance for fraudsters to try to exploit you. That's why why it matters, and how to protect yourself from scammers is a thing to look at. Well, let's see. Now I think that's pretty much got the news at the moment. We've been talking about all kinds of topics. Most recently, we were talking about some of the mysteries of Antarctica. We're going to talk about some of the craziest conspiracies and secrets lurking underneath the surface. There's a lot of mysteries in the landscape. Stonehenge and a number of others. When people discuss stone circles, Stonehenge in England is often the first example, of course. Standing stones arranged in a circular layout create a striking sight. I went to see it. It was fascinating. But it's not the only stone circle. A lot of others exist across the British Isles, Europe, and other parts of the world. And of course, they vary in size and arrangement and age. One theory says stone circles attract solar or lunar events. Stonehenge, for example, aligns with the sunrise on the summer solstice. Conspiracy enthusiasts expand on this, suggest star maps or alien signals, while archaeologists see it as a reflection of early people's interest in seasonal cycles. Most mainstream researchers believe stone circles were gathering places for ceremonies or social events. Might have served as areas to mark important points in the year, like midwinter and midsummer. Over time, these gatherings could build into a shared identity for the community. Large stones called megaliths can weigh many tons. Moving them over long distances without modern tools is certainly daunting. But experiments show that with enough people, wooden rollers, and levers, it's possible to transport and lift these heavy stones. Conspiracy theories, of course, propose anti-gravity technology or even alien help, but so far there's been no evidence that support that. Now, some claim that stone circles sit on what are known as ley lines, invisible channels of earth energy that connect sacred sites. They claim that ancient cultures placed monuments on these lines to tap into or enhance that energy. Now, critics see no measurable force in these lines, describing them as a pattern people imagine by connecting sites on a map. But believers point to many prehistoric spots that seem to form alignments, arguing it's too neat to be by chance. In Europe, the UK alone has a lot of circles beyond Stonehenge, like Avebury. Other parts of Europe also have megalithic formations, though not always circular in nature. In Africa, in countries like the Gambia and Senegal, there are stone circles as well, though their exact function remains debated. And then, of course, in Asia, there are some stone circles that exist in Russia and other parts of Central Asia, built by ancient tribes for either burial or ritual. Conspiracy theories expand these connections, proposing a global network. Researchers, though, generally see local solutions, similar human needs, such as burial, ceremony, marking time, that lead to comparable structures. Recurring theory suggests that an advanced people, most suggest Atlantis, once spanned the globe, building pyramids and stone circles. And this lost civilization allegedly vanished due to a great disaster. Mainstream archaeology doesn't support the idea of a single super advanced civilization in prehistory. Instead, they see multiple groups independently discovering large-scale construction techniques. Just a coincidence, don't you know? Nothing to see. Move along. As mentioned in earlier shows on ancient aliens, some say extraterrestrials introduced the pyramid shape or taught people to build stone circles. While interesting, experts see no concrete proof of this. Most, if not all, of the construction methods can be explained by the tools, math, and social organization available in those eras. From pyramid power to the sound frequencies said to raise stones into place, there's a wide range of claims about unknown energies. Again, these remain unverified under scientific testing. That doesn't stop new theories from circulating online, linking everything from healing vibrations to interdimensional portals. Some conspiracists believe that governments or academic institutions hide the true origins of these structures. They suspect revealing advanced ancient knowledge would challenge current beliefs or religious ideas. Scholars generally see no advantage in hiding major breakthroughs, noting any historian publishing a major find gains credit. Still, these cover-up stories remain popular in some circles. And whether we attribute pyramids and stone circles to aliens, lost civilizations, or just plain ordinary human effort, these structures remind us humanity's ability to cooperate on large projects. They show advanced math or organizational skills for the time. Even mainstream explanations can be impressive, showing how dedicated laborers and artisans and leaders achieved huge works without modern machines. A lot of cultures, these monuments had more than practical value. They actually represented connections to gods, ancestors, or even cosmic circles. They might have been places of worship, celebration, or social gathering. Understanding these roles can reveal how ancient societies saw the universe. Conspiracies that focus only on advanced technology might overlook the deep cultural meaning behind the buildings. Today, pyramids and stone circles draw tourists and spark local economies. They also feature in films and TV shows and online speculation. Some travelers visit them seeking an energetic experience, while others come for the history. Guides and souvenir shops sometimes cater to the mystic angle. This blend of real history and speculative ideas is part of what keeps these sites on the public eye. Scientists continue to study these structures with new methods like ground-penetrating radar and 3D scans and advanced dating techniques. They hope to learn more about the construction stages, the people that built them, and what changes happened over time. Even if these efforts don't reveal hidden energies or alien help, they do often uncover fresh details about ancient societies. Conspiracies aside, the real process of discovery can be just as exciting. There's been a lot of discussion about Atlantis, or the lost continent of Mu. Legends of lost lands beneath the waves have captured human imaginations for ages. Two of the most famous, of course, are Atlantis and Mu. Both are said to have been powerful civilizations that vanished, leaving behind only hints and myths and ancient records. And through books and folklore and modern interpretation, some folks link these sunken realms to advanced knowledge, alien visitors, or even spiritual teachings. While mainstream historians argue that no solid proof exists to support the existence of these lost continents, the tales continue to be told, and we're going to talk about the stories behind Atlantis and Mu, their supposed histories, and why they still fascinate so many people. Well, the earliest written reference to Atlantis comes from the works of the Greek philosopher Plato. Specifically, in his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, written about 360 BC. In these dialogues, Atlantis is described as a mighty island nation situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we believe to be the Straits of Gibraltar. Plato's Atlantis had a rich culture and advanced society that grew corrupt. In punishment, the gods caused it to sink beneath the sea in a single day and night. Now, some scholars believe Plato used Atlantis as a fictional moral lesson, showing how greed and pride lead to a downfall. Others think he might have drawn on older stories of real disasters, such as the eruption of Thera at Santorini that damaged the Minoan civilization. But nowhere else in ancient Greek texts is Atlantis mentioned, leaving it uncertain whether Plato's story is literal or symbolic. But in spite of that, the idea of a lost advanced society overcame the question of whether it was just an allegory. As navigation improved, European explorers sometimes wondered if newly found lands might be the remnants of Atlantis. Sailors told stories of strange sightings at sea and fueling speculation about underwater ruins. Writer Ignatius Donnelly's book Atlantis, The Antediluvian World, written in 1882, argued that Atlantis was real. He was actually a sitting congressman that spent all his time in the Library of Congress researching Atlantis, which shows you the attention a lot of folks pay to their job in Congress. He claimed it influenced major ancient civilizations from the Maya to the Egyptians. And although criticized by academics, Donnelly's ideas do remain influential in modern conspiracy circles. Over time, researchers and amateurs have placed Atlantis just about everywhere, off the coast of Spain and Portugal, in the Caribbean near Bimini Road, in Antarctica under the ice, or even in the Sahara Desert. They claimed that Sahara was once a sea. No conclusive archaeological evidence has emerged to prove any of this is true. In modern esoteric thought, Atlantis is sometimes portrayed as a place with high spiritual knowledge or psychic abilities. Stories mention crystal energy, telepathy, or deep cosmic wisdom Atlanteans supposedly possessed. Some mediums or channels claim to receive messages from Atlantean souls describing advanced technology that used the power of crystals or harnessed Earth's energy. And while not supported by mainstream science, these interpretations do find a home in New Age communities. Common theme is that Atlantis fell because of moral decay or misused power. In some versions, Atlanteans tried to tap into the Earth's core energy or meddle with genetic experiments, leading it to a catastrophic meltdown. Drama about hubris and downfall mirrors Plato's original moral message. Whether seen as science fiction or spiritual parable, the Atlantis tale warns about the dangers of excessive power without ethics. Some theories link Atlantis to alien contact. They say beings from other planets helped Atlanteans develop advanced technology, and after the city sank, the aliens departed or even took some of the Atlanteans with them. These claims overlap with the ancient aliens concept, suggesting if advanced engineering or odd relics show up, they might be from Atlantean or alien sources. Critics point out that no physical artifacts conclusively match these claims, but that hasn't stopped the critics from trying. Geologists and archaeologists and historians generally doubt the existence of a literal Atlantis. Earth crust changes and sea levels rise, but large land masses don't simply vanish without leaving debris or traces behind. While earthquakes and volcanoes destroy coastal cities throughout history, the grand picture of an entire advanced civilization and continent sinking in one night is regarded as a myth. Underwater explorations near places rumored to be Atlantis have turned up interesting structures, but nothing definitively Atlantean. Well, Mu is a less famous counterpart to Atlantis, often said to have been located in the Pacific Ocean. Concept arose largely from the writings of French-American traveler and self-taught archaeologist Augustus Le Plongeon in the late 19th century. He misread certain Mayan texts and concluded a reference to a lost land called Mu, which he believed was the cradle of all civilization. Later, British occult writer James Churchward popularized the idea in books like The Lost Continent of Mu that came out in 1926. He described Mu as an enormous continent that once spanned the Pacific, home to an advanced race. Speaking of James Churchward, he wrote a series of books about Mu, various aspects of it. When I was in high school, I read a lot of them. Well, he wrote that Mu spread knowledge in colonies globally. Surviving cultures in Asia and Americas and Africa are supposed to carry traces of Mu's influence. And like Atlantis, Mu is said to have sunk swiftly in a great catastrophe. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions might have fractured the landmass, sending it beneath the waves. In some esoteric writings, Mu is equated with Lemuria, another proposed lost land. Lemuria first appeared in 19th century scientific theories about how certain animals spread, but it was replaced by the concept of continental drift. Occult authors later transformed Lemuria into a mystical realm of advanced beings. And the terms Mu and Lemuria often overlap in modern spiritual and conspiracy literature. Scientists say the idea of a large continent sinking into the Pacific is improbable. The ocean's floor is well studied, showing tectonic plates and volcanic island chains. There's no sign of a sunken continent. Islands in the Pacific exist because of hot spots and plate movements, not because a once massive land was submerged. Nevertheless, believers in Mu argue that conventional science overlooks evidence or that sinking occurred millions of years ago, erasing geological traces. The writers on Mu point to myths from places like Polynesia, Easter Island, or the Americas. I mentioned a homeland destroyed by the sea. They also highlight similarities in artistic symbols across different cultures. Mainstream anthropologists typically credit these overlaps to shared human creativity, migration patterns, or independent invention. But Mu enthusiasts, of course, see a global link, suggesting all these myths describe the downfall of a single motherland. Like Atlantis, Mu's been adopted into New Age beliefs. Some mediums claim to channel ascended masters from Mu, and spiritual groups speak of an advanced Mu culture that practice telepathy or use crystals. Certain healers reference Mu in connection with the energy grids across the Pacific. Even if many don't take the story literally, it resonates with those who sense a mystical tie to oceanic or Polynesian traditions. Archaeologists see no convincing evidence for Mu, of course, labeling it a myth shaped by romantic ideas and poor translations of ancient texts. The Pacific has no known large-scale ruins that point to a vanished civilization. Each island group has its own history, typically traced to seafaring peoples that move from place to place. They built impressive structures like those on Easter Island or in Micronesia, like Nan Madol, which is literally a Venice-style city set in the middle of the Pacific. But these are well within known cultural context. No single Mu empire is needed to explain them. So the question becomes, why do stories of sunken lands like Atlantis and Mu persist? Part of it may be the desire for a grand forgotten age, one that had more unity and wisdom or advanced technology than we do now. People like to imagine a golden era cut short by cosmic or moral tragedy. Longing and doom, many cultures have myths about a perfect land that disappeared. In narratives of Mu or Atlantis, the land's destruction often served as a warning. Civilizations fall when they stray from virtue or meddle in forces too great for them. These moral lessons echo older legends and religious flood stories. The story of hubris and downfall has universal appeal. It becomes a cautionary tale about pride or a reflection on natural disaster's power. Real cataclysms might have shaped these myths. Large tsunamis or volcanic eruptions can wipe out coastal areas, leaving survivors with tales of a once great city. For example, the Thera eruption around 1600 BC devastated parts of the Aegean. In the Pacific, rising seas over millennia submerged land bridges that once existed during lower sea levels. These real events could form the kernel of long-lost stories that later took on mystical details. Supporters of Atlantis and Mu note that multiple cultures speak about lost lands or sunken realms. They see this as proof of a shared, genuine event. Critics respond that flood myths and vanished islands can arise naturally in coastal communities worldwide. The idea may not require a single civilization, just the universal human experience of facing natural disasters and changes in sea levels. Atlantis is a popular backdrop in films and cartoons and novels. Mu appears less often, but shows up in certain fantasy or anime series. Both remain staples of conspiracy-themed TV shows, fueling speculation about out-of-place artifacts or hidden realms and ruins beneath the sea. Documentaries sometimes feature scuba divers exploring sunken structures like Yonaguni in Japan, and of course linking them to Atlantis or Mu for dramatic effect. This cross between real underwater archaeology and sensational claims keeps the topic alive in public curiosity. Atlantis and Mu stand as symbols of lost grandeur and spiritual secrets and cautionary tales. Atlantis, of course, is rooted in Plato's writings. It's evolved into a legend of a highly advanced culture that perished due to its own corruption. Modern claims range from credible attempts to match it with known disasters like Thera to wild suggestions of alien technology. Then, of course, Mu gained prominence from the 19th and 20th century authors who linked it to the vanished Pacific continent. Though lacking mainstream archaeological support, it does remain part of alternative history theories, sometimes blending with Amiri and other esoteric teachings. There's a lot of stories of secret undersea bases, and the ocean covers most of our planet, but much of it remains unexplored. It's no surprise that conspiracy ideas flourish about what may be hidden beneath the waves. One common claim is that secret bases operated by governments or aliens or some other shadowy group exist in these watery depths, far from prying eyes. And meanwhile, on the surface, some say we're bombarded by subtle signs from powerful organizations that want to shape our thoughts. And that leads us to the discussion of the Illuminati symbolism in the media. Are hidden groups placing coded messages in films and music videos and ads to show their influence, or is this just imagination? We're going to talk about some of this and see why the stories persist. Conspiracies about hidden bases often revolve around remote deserts or mountains, but the ocean is even more inaccessible. Sonar and submarines can't easily search every trench or cavern. If a group wanted to hide advanced technology or covert operations, doing it underwater might seem ideal. Some suspect governments test new weapons and keep aliens there or store nuclear arsenals in these undersea facilities. It's no secret that navies around the world have submarine bases and undersea listening posts. Strategic choke points in certain oceans are monitored by hydrophones to track foreign submarines. And while these are known to exist, they've fueled rumors about more elaborate projects. Some people go even further, claiming entire complexes or cities are built on the ocean floor. These might belong to top-secret military groups or a breakaway civilization with technology beyond public knowledge. No credible evidence, of course, supports these large-scale habitats, but the idea still remains popular in conspiracy circles. A subset of ufology suggests that unidentified flying objects might actually be unidentified submerged objects. Witnesses describe lights and craft emerging from the water. Believers propose that aliens keep bases under the sea to avoid detection. Sites such as off the coast of California or near Puerto Rico's Trench are often named in these claims, with individuals reporting strange submarine sightings or anomalies on sonar. Some conspiracy theorists tie undersea bases to polar regions and saying that the secret Nazi bases or advanced research stations exist under the ice. They argue that warmer water under ice shelves could hide entire underground lakes or tunnels. Scientists do study subglacial lakes, but large hidden bases remain in the realm of speculation. Historical documents show Nazis did explore Antarctica, yet mainstream historians emphasize they have found little practical use there. There's been long stories about Base 211, which is supposedly a Nazi base hidden in New Swabenland in Antarctica. Real-world events like cut undersea internet cables have spurred theories about sabotage or hidden conflicts. People wonder if these cables are accidentally hit by fishing nets or submarines, or if it's deliberate sabotage from a covert undersea station. Security experts typically blame normal accidents or known espionage actions, not hidden bases. But each new event does reignite speculation. Building large bases under the deep ocean pressure is extremely difficult. The cost and technical demands will be enormous. If hundreds or thousands of people lived in a submerged facility, you have to ask, how'd they get food or air and maintenance without anybody noticing anything going on? Large undertakings require a big workforce, and leaks, of course, are likely. While some smaller secret projects do remain hidden for a while, entire undersea cities would be hard to conceal indefinitely. Still, believers insist that advanced technology, maybe gleaned from alien craft, makes it all possible. They see the ocean as a perfect cover for covert expansion or alliances between governments and extraterrestrial beings. Notion hidden structures might exist in unexplored marine trenches remains a staple in certain conspiracy communities. As we talked in earlier shows, the Illuminati is rumored to be a secret society that controls major world events. Some say they place symbols in plain sight on currency and music videos, movies, and corporate logos to show their power to subtly influence viewers. And these clues are thought to condition the public to accept the Illuminati's agenda without realizing it. One of these symbols is the all-seeing eye. A single eye, often inside a pyramid or a triangle, interpreted as the eye of providence. Believers say it appears on the U.S. dollar bill and in pop culture to signal Illuminati presence. Triangles are seen as references to the pyramid symbol. In music videos, whenever an artist forms a triangular hand sign or stands in front of triangular backdrops, somebody interprets it as an Illuminati nod. Linked to Baphomet, or a symbol used historically in occult context. If a star or performer wears goats' horns or references goats, conspiracy theorists call it an Illuminati message. And of course, tall four-sided monuments like the Washington Monument are said to sometimes be phallic or occult symbols. Modern architecture that uses obelisks or pillars is occasionally accused of being Illuminati related. Major part of Illuminati symbolism, of course, folks on pop stars, singers, and rappers and actors who allegedly display these signs. Conspiracy believers point to album covers with pyramid motifs and stage costumes with eye patterns or lyrics hinting at hidden power. They argue that popular artists have either sold their souls for fame or a pawn spreading the group's message. Some examples people mention include specific performances at large award shows or specific music video scenes. A lot of company logos feature shapes that can be read as triangles and eyes or hidden numbers. Critics of the Illuminati theory say that geometric shapes are common in design. For example, a pyramid shape can be visually appealing or represent stability. But believers see these repetitions as a part of a bigger scheme to push hidden messages or mark brand loyalty to secret elites. Certain filmmakers or studios also become targets of Illuminati accusation. Scenes of pyramid imagery or one-eyed close-ups might spark online threads analyzing each frame. The arguments often revolve around the idea that directors are either giving homage to a cult group or that the group demands these scenes as proof of loyalty. Skeptics argue that reusing the eye shot is a common filmmaking technique and triangular shapes can be simple set design choices. People naturally look for patterns. In fact, the human mind defaults to look for patterns. Seeing a repeated shape might confirm to some that a conspiracy is real. If audiences suspect large companies or studios are manipulative, they may interpret design choices as deliberate signals rather than artistic or commercial decisions. Now, the real Bavarian Illuminati was a short-lived group in the 18th century. Modern conspiracy culture turned it into a near mythical secret society. And tying symbols to it in modern media keeps that story alive. Some celebrities play along, making reference to the Illuminati, using eye imagery to spark talk. Now, this might be for publicity or as a joke. Fans then take it seriously, fueling the cycle. Well, people who doubt Illuminati symbolism arguments note that design motifs often repeat because they're visually striking, not because of hidden agendas. And they add that a lot of cultural industries are driven by profit, not by secret societies. If a music video uses a triangle or an eye image, it may just be a fashion trend or an attempt to evoke mystery. No confirmed insider has come forward to reveal an actual directive from an Illuminati group demanding symbolic placement. Some tie Illuminati symbolism to broader claims about brainwashing. They say repeated symbols or messages in media can hypnotize the public into supporting certain policies, buying products, or worshiping false idols. And while advertising and propaganda do seek to influence behavior, linking every symbolic shape to a single hidden group is a very large leap. Psychologists mention that subliminal messages can have minimal short-term effects, but there's little proof of massive mind control via simple geometric signs. You might wonder how secret ocean bases, Illuminati symbols, and media converge, but in the conspiracy world, it's common to link disparate topics. Both undersea bases and Illuminati symbolism suggest powerful entities working out of the public eye. One is physically hidden beneath the sea, and the other is camouflaged in plain sight through subtle imagery. Undersea bases might house unknown tech or alien alliances, while Illuminati symbolism hints at control over mass communication. In either scenario, the average person remains unaware of the real forces shaping the world around him. Some say the same group controlling undersea facilities also orchestrates media symbolism, aiming to guide humanity toward a planned future to keep us distracted while real plans unfold. This includes implementing a new world order, or forging a future alliance with non-human entities. Critics argue these connections are leaps of logic with no solid foundation, an attempt to unify all conspiracies into one megastory. But for believers, each puzzle piece helps explain the global scale of hidden operations. A lot of conspiracies, believers believe that deep in the oceans are undiscovered or covertly built complexes. These could belong to governments, secret societies, or even aliens. The sea's vastness and difficulty to explore make these claims hard to fully disprove. But mainstream science finds no serious evidence of large-scale hidden facilities. Of course, in and of itself, that is not definitive. Though the prominent theme is that a secret elite group hides messages in popular entertainment, corporate logos, and architecture. Common symbols, of course, include the all-seeing eye and pyramids. Skeptics see mere coincidence or design choices. Both sets of conspiracies revolve around the belief that major power structures operate without public knowledge. And whether it's advanced stations far beneath the waves or coded signals in movies, the idea that we, the masses, remain uninformed while hidden forces control technology, culture, or both is an idea that has been around for a long time. Well, the biggest question asked by the critics is, where's the proof? Large undersea bases would require enormous resources and supply lines. Similarly, thousands of media creators producing Illuminati imagery would need strict secrecy. But no conclusive whistleblowers have emerged about these unidentifiable evidence. This lack of direct proof, combined with simpler explanations, leads most experts to doubt these theories' grandest claims. But despite skepticism, these ideas remain popular. The ocean's mystery, fear of government cover-up, and the sense that modern media pushes questionable messages keep conspiracies thriving. And for some folks, these concepts add excitement or meaning to daily life. For others, they reflect deep mistrust of official explanations. Either way, talk of undersea bases and Illuminati symbolism continues, woven in a broader tapestry of hidden knowledge. In a world where so much is unknown beneath the waves, where entertainment can indeed shape minds, these conspiracies serve as a reminder of how easily we blend real curiosities with speculative leaks. With a real imagine, the notion of a hidden power at work behind the scenes, be it underwater in our favorite music video, shapes how many folks view the world's complexities. Well, on that note, we come to the end of today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. And once again, you'll be listening to Ken Hudnall and the Ken Hudnall Show. Till then, have a truly great evening.